that's the one thing that I always kept in mind is like I knew that there was always somebody else in a worse position than what I had. You know what I mean? Even though, yeah,
Facts.
sure, didn't have the most money in the world, but when I look back, I was like, was there food in the fridge? Yeah, like there's food in the fridge. I had clothes. I mean, there were times where it was like my mom definitely was stressed, being like, where the next meal was coming from, and she wouldn't eat to make sure that I was eating when I was really young. But you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I was like, there's kids on the streets, or there's like,
Yep.
there is a single mother that has a child that's probably going from like, shelter to shelter to try and at least get a place to sleep that night. So growing up, especially my mom kind of instilling that in me to not have like a victim mentality. It's like,
Yep.
there's somebody out there that has it worse, and you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? Just figure it out. And that's the one thing I've just always kind of instilled in myself is just like believe in your ability to figure it out.
Welcome back to another episode of Chris's Secret Podcast. I am impressed that you found it. On this episode, we interview Aiden J.D. Reilly. He is the founder and owner of High Income Society. High Income Society helps businesses build in-house client acquisition systems to help them scale up their operations. During our conversation with Aiden, we talked about what it was like to be a professional hockey player, the challenges he faced while growing up in a single-parent household, and why he is so passionate about entrepreneurship. And make sure you listen until the end of the show because Aiden shares some valuable insights into the tools and techniques he uses to scale up his clients when helping them generate more leads and scale their sales efforts. I really enjoyed my conversation with Aiden, and I hope you really enjoy listening to our discussion. Now, don't forget to follow and rate us on Apple and Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. So now, without further ado, I present to you Aiden J.D. Reilly. Excited to be on with you, Aiden. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going well, man. I appreciate you having me here. It's been good. It's been a busy day today, but it's the way it goes.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say the way I was gonna actually open the show was I was obviously doing some professional stalking on you, and I was checking out your YouTube, and you have that short of you like waking up and then getting dressed, getting like sitting in front of the computer, and I was like, dude, this thing hits different. Like I can relate so much to this. I mean, dude, here in the U.S. it's Memorial Day, so like everyone is out partying and floating down the river and getting drunk, and I'm sitting here doing a podcast. I was like, dude, this guy gets the grind that you have to do to make it. So I appreciate you being on.
No, yeah, it's good, man. I appreciate you having me. Yeah, I know I woke up today and I totally forgot because we do a majority of our business with clients in the States. Like I'm a Canadian, but I don't think we have a single Canadian client. So everybody that we do business with is in the States. So I told my team today, I was like, hey, listen, guys, you're probably not going to get a huge response from some people unless they're actually in it. So, yeah, just part of it, man. I try not to really worry about like holidays that much. Obviously, like Christmas and stuff like that, it's different. But because I know there's like big players in the game that'll still, they still show up on a Monday and they'll put a little bit of work in. And, I just like to try and get ahead while I can. So,
yeah. No, right on. And you're living in what, Toronto, right?
Yeah, I'm right downtown in the core, so entertainment district. So if you're familiar with Toronto, the big CN Tower, the big huge tower that's there, I'm right across the street from there.
Okay, right on, right. Yeah, I mean, it looks like from everything I've been looking on your obviously your social media and whatnot, it looks like a sick spot to be in. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not bad, man. It's what I wanted to get to a place that was it was just kind of chill, but it still had kind of the hustle and bustle, you know what I mean? So I could work, and then everything was a walking distance. So it's actually quieter than I thought it was going to be down here because I was a little worried at first. I was like, it might be too much with like the traffic and stuff because I'm actually by one of the major highways in the city. But I was surprised it's not that bad, so it's good.
Awesome. Well, dude, I guess give us a little background, kind of who you are, what you do, your upbringing. And then I got a million questions, as anybody should that's trying to prepare for a podcast. But yeah, give us a little background.
Yeah, man. So, Aiden Riley, I run a growth consultancy called High Income Society. Basically, what we do is we build in-house client acquisition systems for B2B businesses online. So, typically, we work with a lot of like digital marketing agencies, coaches as well. They have like a high-ticket coaching program. So, we build like outbound systems and automations in order to funnel more qualified book calls and then give them a sales process as well in order to obviously enroll clients and deliver great results. So, that's kind of us in a nutshell. But if we go back kind of my early years, once upon a time I was an athlete. So I was actually a professional, semi-professional hockey player. I played in Europe just before the pandemic. So that was life. I was actually back in early life. I was going to be a police officer. So going to
Really?
college out of high school, yeah, I was going to go ahead and pursue being a police officer because I got a few police officers in my family here in Toronto. And yeah, just typical kind of entrepreneurial mindset when you go into like college and stuff like that. You're like, I don't know what any of this is about, and I want the freedom and all that stuff. So I went down the rabbit hole of high income skills, and you start learning about all the ways to make money online. So there's Shopify, Amazon, affiliate marketing, digital marketing agency, all that stuff. So first thing I went to was Shopify and started to dabble in e-commerce in my second year of college. I only did 2 years of college, and then realized I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give this a go while I'm still playing hockey. So tried that out, realized I was like, man, I suck. I have no skills at all. So I know nothing about marketing, sales, copywriting, none of the stuff. So I was like, you know what, I should probably try and learn those skills. Quickly got into copywriting, and it was kind of like a freelance copywriter for a while. Worked for some companies and got into lead generation, appointment setting, just kind of doing like one-off jobs with clients and stuff like that. And then ultimately kind of started productizing. And this was around the time that I was actually just coming back from playing professional hockey in Germany. So I'd actually wake up. It was kind of cool the way I had it set up. So I was 9 hours ahead of like a lot of the clients that I was working with over there because they were in the West Coast in the States. Yeah. So I'd wake up, do the work that I needed to do, submit it, and then I would go to the gym and play hockey for the rest of the night. And that was and there was like freedom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretty comfortable. I mean, the living situation there wasn't like, is not like the top of the top athletes. Like it was like a little flat in Germany in a small little old town. So, I mean, it was cool because I got stuff paid for me and I got to save a lot of money. And I was making, when I was playing hockey, I was making euro in cash. So It was like I got to store a bunch of cash and come back with that, which was nice. But then, the pandemic came, shut everything down, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go home. Started learning more about, more skills. I invested a lot of courses and stuff like that, mentorships, and then tried to go back for one more season just to see if I could give it a shot. Pandemic still shut everything down again a second time, so I was like, all right, like I'm going to come home and I'm just going to go full out on business.
Yeah.
And, then it was the rags to riches story where it's like, I got to get out of my parents' basement now and like do all that. So I was sleeping in a little dusty basement beside a fireplace at night. So I was like, I got to get out of here. So did that, productized the business a little bit more, invested in some more mentors. Next thing you know, started building out a team and moved out to Toronto and just continue to grow from here, man. So it's a bit about me in a nutshell.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I can relate so much to the like. I never slept in my parents' basements, but I was kicking it with my grandparents for a minute there, and it's just dusty, gross. They had a bunch of dogs, and I was like allergies going crazy. Like, I need to get out of here. I got to do whatever it takes
to
get out of here. But that's awesome, dude. Because I'll say, at least I feel like you kind of lived both sides of the coin. I feel like kids either grow up wanting to be like, hey, I want to be big successful businessman, make millions, or I want to be a professional athlete and I want to, sign autographs and, go on dates with a bunch of supermodels. And so you kind of got to do both sides of the coin. So like, what was it like being a professional athlete? Because that was something that I think everybody aspires to be when they're a kid. And I thought I was going to be the next like Usain Bolt. And then I realized I was, about a foot too short and too white. So I never came close. But what was it like being a pro athlete?
Yeah, man. To be completely transparent with you, it was such a long shot to even get there. Because it's so hard with hockey. So I came from a league that it was good, like here in Canada, like growing up and playing junior hockey. So that's the step before you get to like college or pro.
Yeah.
And played in like a tier 2 division, which is just a tier down from like the top of the top junior league. So even then, it's like tough to get over there. So I was super lucky that I even got over there. And once I got over there, man, yeah, it was great. I had no complaints, man. Like, I mean, for the first little while, like the living situation was a little bit dicey, just with like they had to find a place for you, and it's like this really old town of Germany. I wasn't like a big city, just the way that it worked over there. Like a lot of like the small villages will have their own teams and whatnot. So I was part of like a cool little community there, and you're kind of well known, and it's you're the Canadian, so you're like this new like shiny prize which is over there, and you get treated really well. So man, like it was a blast. Like waking up every day, like I said, I do like my copywriting, shoot that over. That was like an hour or two in the morning, and then the rest of the day was like, go meet up with the team, go to the gym. After the gym, go to practice or have a game, and then after that, it's like if we wanted to party and go to the bar, you can do all that stuff too. And I'm more disciplined now. I don't do that anymore. I don't even drink anymore. So, but back then it was a little bit more party, and but it was fun. You know what I mean? You got a lot of freedom over there, and being in a foreign country was a complete. It was a shock, because especially being in a small town in Germany, like there are people that speak English for sure. But when you're in a town that's like 1,000 years old, it was crazy to like see the culture there. It was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Were you all making like what kind of money were you making playing professional hockey? Is there good money in being semi-pro?
No, semi-pro wasn't anything extravagant, man. It was like, because again, they paid imports based on like it was just straight cash, and then everything else was paid for. So I think they were only giving me like anywhere, depending on like anywhere from 500 to 1,000 euro every like 2 weeks or something like that. So it was super low. But again, living expenses were paid for, so I didn't have to pay for like equipment. I had to pay for the flat that I lived in, Wi-Fi. Like they took care of everything. You know what I mean? And like travel expenses, stuff like that, like flights, all that stuff, accommodation. But because I was like a few tiers down from like the top of the top.
Yeah.
You didn't get like the big money. But if I had stayed another like 2 seasons, the goal was to move up 2 more levels, and from there you're probably making anywhere from like for 6 months of hockey you're making anywhere from like probably 60 to 80,000 euro. So that right there would have been like pretty good. Transferring that back over to Canadian, I would have been like, I could do this forever. And that was the thing. I got a little bit comfortable to the point where I was like, okay, well, I know I want to make some good money here with like business and be like a semi-decent entrepreneur, but having that the comfortability was a little bit like they say, you got to put your ass against the wall or your back against the wall to like really feel it a little bit. And that kind of happened. So the pandemic was kind of a blessing and a curse in a way. So
yeah, that's awesome. And what's the culture like in hockey? Because I have a buddy that actually played professional football in Canada. He was actually in Toronto for a little bit, and he was like, dude, I was making good money. I don't remember the exact amount he was making, but he was making like kind of real money. It was like $5,000-$6,000 a game. Okay. And so he was making like solid money every week. He's getting a fat paycheck, but then him and his boys would just go and blow like every penny. They would go to the mall, they'd buy all the cool outfits, they'd go out to the clubs, they'd buy all the bottles, and he'd be like, yeah, and then I'd go back and I have no money and I have to go play another game. And I was like, dude, that's a grind. So like, what was the culture like over there? Were they a little bit more responsible, or was it as much of a party scene?
No, it's as much of a party scene, if not worse, I would say, because in Europe it's different, man. Like you go out here in Toronto, and I feel like it's probably similar in the States, but if you're in like a big city here, maybe you'll go out, like let's say the night begins, the pre-tank, the pre-drink, whatever, people will get together at one place. They'll start at like 9:30, then roll around to like a bar around 10, maybe 11, and then you're out of there by like maybe 1, latest 2. You know what I mean? That's here.
Yeah.
Over there, it's like we start at 10, 11, and then you don't get home till like 5, 6. So I was like, dude, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is nuts. Like, and it was nice because when they find out, like, hey, you're the Canadian import guy, you're an athlete, you're here to, like, provide the team with some value, some skill and stuff like that. They're like, wow, that's awesome. And then they start buying you everything, right? They're like, here, take this. I'm like, guys, like, yeah, I got to play tomorrow. Like, I still got to get up and play. So it was just, for me, too, like, I'm a guy that loves sleep. Like, I need to get my 8 hours. So for me, I'm like, all right, so I get home, it's 6 a.m. I'm like, oh, I'm not waking up till like 1 p.m. this time. And then I got to go to the gym. Yeah, it was just, it was fun, but man, like the culture thing, for like the partying and stuff like that, it's fun, but it takes a toll on you for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds, because I can only relate, because I was telling you before we jumped on, or before we scheduled this, is that I was an athlete in college. Obviously, all growing up, I was, freaking like a 5-sport Letterman athlete. Now, I didn't realize at the time. Here in America, I don't know do they do Letterman jackets over there in Canada?
No, I don't think so. I think that maybe like they used to, but not anymore.
Yeah, so they do. They'll like give you, if you're a varsity athlete, they'll like give you like this goofy jacket and you get like a letter for it, whatever. And so I was like a 5-sport athlete, like cross country, track, wrestling, swimming. Like I was doing like everything. I was like, man, I'm gonna be like the greatest thing in the world. Not realize I was in like some little tiny little like hick town where nobody did any sports. You know what I'm saying? And so, anyways, get to college, and dude, it's the same thing because I didn't drink. Or like didn't drink, smoke, party, nothing in high school because I was like laser focused on sports and athletics. And then get to college, and first semester I'm doing the same thing where I'm like, I'm not drinking, I'm not doing nothing, but I'm looking at my teammates, bro. They would be partying till 2 a.m. and then we'd have to wake up on Sundays at 5 a.m. for a long run. And I was just up late being a college kid, just like hanging out with friends, and I was only hanging out till whatever, like midnight, and I'd be waking up, I would be dead on the runs, and they're over here hungover running these miles. Like, y'all are crazy. I don't know how y'all are doing this, but I can only imagine too when you add a little bit of money involved because they're out there drinking, just a case of beer, nothing crazy. So,
dude, yeah, it's nuts too. And like, I'm not a guy that smokes either. Like, I didn't smoke, but like over there, like, because you could still smoke in the bars there. So like, you're in there and you're like, like you're coughing and like, oh my god, like you can't even like breathe. So I'd have to go outside all the time just to get some like oxygen because it was just filled with smoke over there. So it was a different scene, and yeah, I totally get it, man. Like you'd wake up the next day, like your team's like super hungover, and like I didn't really like to like drink that heavily, really. Like I was never like huge into it.
Yeah,
I would just be there, kind of like amongst the guys. Like I'm a social guy, but I wasn't really the guy that would get like hammered, so to say. So, and part of that was the responsibility. Like I've always been like the captain of each team I've been on, and when I got over there, fortunately on my second season, I was able to become the captain of a German team, which was awesome. I was like, wow, okay, they're giving me some responsibility here. So I didn't want to be the guy that showed up late to practice, hungover, and like, you know what I mean? Because they put some weight on my shoulders to be hey, we want you to kind of lead the way. So even more so, I had an incentive to kind of like, okay, if I'm going to go out, I at least need to be somewhat responsible and like, help the team out, make sure, hey boys, like let's get to bed. Like I don't want to have a sluggish game tomorrow. Let's kind of figure it out.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. And now you were obviously also running, you were saying some copywriting and doing some other kind of marketing efforts and sales efforts on the side or in the mornings before getting to the games. Mm-hmm. What was that like? Was it easy to balance that workload, or kind of what was it like trying to be, I guess, an entrepreneur and a athlete at the same time?
Yeah, man. At that time, it was fairly easy. I had a lot of time on my hands, just like I said, because the majority of the clients that I was working for were in Los Angeles at the time. So being 9 hours ahead in Germany, literally would wake up, first 2 hours of my day was like get the copy done, submit it, and then I had the rest of the day. And typically in the rest of the day, I'd work on literally my copywriting. I'd work on learning other skills. I was still trying to make Shopify work at that time too.
Yeah.
And I got some sales. It wasn't anything crazy. Again, I was like, hey, like I know I need to work on my copywriting, but I had no idea about like 3PL manufacturers and shipping and all that stuff. So when the pandemic kind of hit, it was like, oh, okay, well, I need to figure something out here. Yeah. So if that's not going to work, but obviously there's people out there making it work. I just didn't have the right information. You know what I mean? The course that I took and stuff like that, it was kind of like base level.
Yeah.
But I mean, making it work over there, man, like juggling both. Yeah, it was pretty easy. I think it was just like, for me, it was more so just getting better with the skills, trying to find other people that were doing well and kind of, building those relationships. Watching a lot of YouTube as well when I was over there, and I did have to separate myself a little bit because, like again, there's the culture over there. Even during the day, they'd go and kind of like start drinking and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, why don't you want to come out?" And I'm like, "I'm just, I got to try and focus on this stuff, but I'll be with you guys later." You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was having that balance, but I think it was good, man. Like it definitely gave me or put my foot in the door to really understanding like what entrepreneurship really entails.
Yeah.
And I even started writing like a little copywriting ebook over there because I got so into it, and I was like, let me kind of like see if I can sell this for like a little upsell, or I'll provide some
Yeah.
value out of it. I actually never ended up using it, but I think I might start using it for like just like clients and stuff like that to use for them and whatnot. But
Yep.
yeah, little things like that, man. It was good to juggle it, but if I had have known how to really structure my time back then, I probably would have been a lot more effective. Now I'm like very much like time efficient. Like I write down my days the night before, time block and whatnot, and really tried my best to become disciplined with that over time.
Yep.
I think if I had have really known that a little bit earlier, who knows, you know what I mean? It could have 10x the skills by then. But those are lessons that you learn along the way, of course. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, so you were obviously doing business on the side. Did you always want to be an entrepreneur, or was that something that you kind of just fell into from I need more money, or kind of what got you into that kind of wanting to run a business, be a businessman, do all that fun stuff?
Yeah, man, I think that's a great question. It's pretty deep rooted, I would say. I came from a single family house, or single parent household, I should say. I was raised by a single mother, so money was tight when I was a kid, for sure. So I was even shocked she was able to put me through hockey, because it's not a cheap sport by any means. So she worked her ass off a lot, and she was not home when I was a kid, so she traveled a lot for business. But with that being said, you know, that was kind of like the first like fire under my ass to be like, yeah, I want to make money, just because I know my mom, when I was a baby, like, you know, welfare check lines and stuff like that to like get money into the door. Dad left when I was like 2, disappeared, wasn't paying any child support, all that kind of stuff, right? So I was like, all right, well, understanding what my mom went through to kind of get me to where I am as an athlete, and worked her ass off to get me here, you know, I admire that hard work as a single parent. You know, I bet I could probably do something pretty big and kind of return the favor one day, right? And my grandparents, you know, they had like a small business growing up. It wasn't anything big. My mom was very intrapreneurial, if you will. So she
Okay.
kind of worked as a freelancer in time to time, but she went company to company. But she's like a really, really good entrepreneur. She's like somebody that you want as like a second hand inside of your company.
Yeah.
So taking those traits from her, and then really understanding like, okay, now I need to think a little bit differently, right? Think of more of that kind of like CEO, the boss mentality of like, who do I need, right? Not me needing to do everything on my own.
Yep.
So from there, man, yeah, I've always been kind of I've always wanted to start a business. Like I used to try and like start clothing brands when I was in like elementary school and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
Again, no idea what I was doing.
Yep.
Sucked completely, like barely really made any money, but I was like, I try and figure this stuff out. So
Yeah.
I'd spend time in high school like learning like, you know, how to you know, how to make money here with like sales and whatnot, and like little things like flipping like, you know, like little items and whatnot. But yeah, it was always there, but I didn't really tap into it until like college, right?
Okay.
Because when college came around, that's when I was like, I don't know if I really want to do the shift work as like a police officer and whatnot. Like
Yeah.
I truly valued like the freedom and watching other people online around that time. So this was probably like 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And like watching the people, especially on Instagram, was that huge like come up of people online, you know, the private jets, the supercars, all this stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, how are these guys doing this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, you know, obviously there's some guys that are, you know, they flex for the gram, but then there's other people out there actually doing it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They live that life. So I was like, how do I get that? You know what I mean? So that's when I went down the rabbit hole, and yeah, man, it just hasn't stopped ever since. I've been trying to fill my head with information as much as I can and get around the right people, and you know, it's been paying off.
Yeah. Right on. Right on. Now, do you
Yeah.
have any siblings?
No, I'm an only child. I do have a step sister that, because my mom remarried
Yep.
when I was in my early to mid teens.
Okay.
So yeah, she did end up remarrying, and yeah, I got a stepsister, but only child my whole life.
Yeah. What has it been like being an only child? Because I'm the complete opposite. I come from a family where I'm the oldest of 5. So I have like a whole, like, I've just had play dates every single day when I was a kid, because I just had a bunch of siblings hanging out with me. So what was it like being an only child? Do you think that helped in entrepreneurship? Because I do feel like being able to be kind of alone by yourself, able to make stuff out of nothing is a benefit, I feel like, in business.
Yeah, I would say it was definitely a blessing for sure, man, because I'm very comfortable being alone. Like I have no problem being in my own space with my own thoughts, and I'm very independent that way. And like I said, when my mom was traveling a lot when I was young, I got watched by, babysitters and stuff like that, and I had like friends from their families and stuff and like the kids that were around my age. So I was very social as a kid for sure, especially with sports, right? I learned the socializing skills and how to really get along with people in that sense. I wasn't like a weirdo and kind of isolated, but like definitely more of the, I guess you could say I have extroversion traits, but introverted in regards to like energy wise, like saving my energy, because like after I go and associate with a ton of people, at the end of the day I'm kind of exhausted. I'm like, man, I just want to chill out, kind of be in my own space. I don't really want to talk to anybody, like and it's nothing against them, it's just kind of the way I'm built, you know what I mean? But I would see it as a big advantage for someone like myself, because I get to sit down at my desk every morning and I'm just like dialed in on like the first few hours of just getting my work done. And then when it's time to kind of have those meetings throughout the rest of the day, I'm good to go. And I would say it's a good balance to have. But being the only child, it's been helpful for sure. I would say. Most people might say something different, like they prefer to have brothers and sisters. And I thought it was always cool having like a small tight friend group of like boys. And they were kind of like my brothers. You know what I mean? Especially within hockey, they're like that's your family. But I would say when I got home and I'm on my own, I didn't really care. It's actually cool. I don't mind it.
Well, I think it's kind of similar to, because I was obviously did a bunch of sports that it's just me. It's just a solo sport. It's not a team environment. And I think it's another great thing for business, where I know that if I run harder or train more or lift more weights, I'm going to improve myself, and I don't have to rely on a teammate. So I always like doing those individual sports, because like I know I'm going to outwork your ass. So I don't want to be, losing the game because you're not, you're missing your shot or you're not putting in the work after hours. So it's kind of slimmer in that aspect. Now, do you have any relationship with your father anymore?
No, man. Like I have not seen, like literally walked out at the age of 2. I couldn't even tell you if the guy's alive or not, to be completely transparent with you. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like no communication, no nothing. As far as I'm concerned, and from my knowledge, my mom said that even as like a little guy, like there was something about him, I didn't like him for whatever, I don't know. Like again, I can't even remember that far back, but he just wasn't. I guess he just wasn't ready to provide. Like really, you know what I mean? And I never really let that hinder me as well growing up. I never really thought, because I've had people ask me, like a lot of close people, like, oh, did you ever think like you ever want to like have your dad around, stuff like that? I was like, I don't know. My mom did a good job playing both roles, and then when she went to introduce in somebody else to kind of come into the picture the next time, her next marriage, that guy wasn't a good fit, and that was a tough thing too, because I was young when this second guy came around. I think I was like maybe like 5 or 6. And he was kind of like messing around behind my mom's back and stuff like that. And, that was tough, especially because as a young guy, you're like, oh, well, here's a guy that I can look up to, kind of father figure. And then realize, that guy's, hurting my mom, what I mean? And then I get into kind of protection mode, and it's like, okay, well, let's not have that happen again. And, time goes on, and I was like, I'm good. My mom did a good job, and I'm surrounding myself with good people, and I got good values and stuff like that. And then when she did remarry to the guy that she's with now, thank the Lord, he's a great guy. He's a police officer, so that's where that kind of inspiration came in. And I saw how well he did in Toronto. He's a Toronto police officer, very high ranked, a lot of awards, very, you know what I mean? And kind of had that. It's like what you see. Like you see like a guy that works hard to provide and protects and whatnot. You're like, oh well, like that's somebody I can look up to. And now they live a great life together. Now they live up north, just a few hours north of the city, in like a little cottage on a lake. So they got a great life up there. And I'm definitely happy for my mom. She finally got, after everything that she went through, got what she wanted now, which is more just like peace in her life. You know what I mean? So that's good.
That's awesome. And I feel like that's good to hear. I mean, not good to hear. Everybody wants to have a stable household and have a 2-parent household, but it's good to hear that it doesn't sound like you used having no father figure in your life for a lot of it as a crutch. You more used it to empower yourself to go out and know what I don't want to become, what I don't want to be. So I think that's awesome to hear, and I think a lot of people should kind of take note of that and be like, hey, look, like you got to hold yourself accountable. Don't use everything as a negative in your life. Like, negative things can be negative, but they can create positives off of them. So I think that's great to hear.
Oh, big time, man. Like that's the one thing that I always kept in mind is like I knew that there was always somebody else in a worse position than what I had. You know what I mean? Even though, yeah,
Facts.
sure, didn't have the most money in the world, but when I look back, I was like, was there food in the fridge? Yeah, like there's food in the fridge. I had clothes. I mean, there were times where it was like my mom definitely was stressed, being like, where the next meal was coming from, and she wouldn't eat to make sure that I was eating when I was really young. But you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I was like, there's kids on the streets, or there's like,
Yep.
there is a single mother that has a child that's probably going from like, shelter to shelter to try and at least get a place to sleep that night. So growing up, especially my mom kind of instilling that in me to not have like a victim mentality. It's like,
Yep.
there's somebody out there that has it worse, and you're gonna be okay. You know what I mean? Just figure it out. And that's the one thing I've just always kind of instilled in myself, is just like believe in your ability to figure it out.
Yep.
Because you can. You know what I mean? There's people that have come from way worse situations and have figured it out.
100%. I think that's great on both sides of the coin. Is I've always tried to do the same thing where I'm like, look, someone's got it. When I'm going through a tough time, like, bro, I'm complaining about some tenant that messed up one of my houses. Like, bro, shut the
Yeah.
there's stuff that's way worse than going on. And on the flip side, where also when you're doing good, you're on like you feel like you're on top of the world. Like, also remember, there's also people that are doing way fucking better than you. So I think it's good to be able to have that kind of clarity in your life of like, look, man, like I'm living, I'm doing my own thing. I just got to take every day one day at a time, one step at a time. So I think that's awesome that you were able to figure that out a lot younger than I probably figured it out. So that's awesome. Now, with your mom, have you, obviously, you're doing very well for yourself now. Have you been able to repay any of the hard work that she did? Have you took her on a trip, got her anything cool, anything exciting that you've done for her yet?
Dude, not yet. That's the thing. I'm planning on I want to take her back to the Czech Republic. So that's actually where her mother is from. So my grandmother, her original side of the family is from the Czech Republic. So that is one trip that I want to plan for her. To be completely transparent with you, man, ever since I moved here within the last year down here, I've been just in like trench mode. Like, just like I've been here. I haven't really done anything else. Especially a lot of like the mentors that I learned from, they're very much like, they're guys that are just like dialed in. And then when it's time to kind of step back, it's like, okay, now I'll kind of like reap the rewards a little bit more. So I'm getting there for sure. And I wanted to be in a place more so like the business is not still as heavily reliant on me and my decision making as much. Which it's getting there step by step. But definitely, man, like this is the thing too. So when she remarried, it was definitely helpful to have my current stepdad there now. Because like I said, they ended up selling their house. They went up north, and they have kind of that piece. So part of me was like, well, I feel like you got kind of taken care of in a way, but I still want to be able to like kind of repay you. So part of that is like me still working. 'Cause she always tells me, she's like, oh, do what makes you happy, don't worry about me, like do what makes you happy, like I'll be fine. And I was like, yeah, but part of that motivation was to kind of like because like I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for everything that you instilled in me and giving me the opportunities that I had. So think of it this way, I'm like, I still want to treat you somehow. So I mean, I'll still make the trek up, and I'll treat her out to dinner and do stuff like that, and take her out to go see the family and whatnot. There's still those things, but in regards to like kind of like the grand like trip, that's still in the works, and I want to definitely take her to like the Czech Republic, back to Prague, and go explore, because we still have family over there apparently that she's had slight communication with. So it'd be cool to kind of take her over there and see the roots. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. Dude, that's all. I mean, that's the best case scenario, because that's how like my mom is as well, is where she's like, look, man, like don't take care of me, like I'll figure it out. And so I got to, I guess this was maybe a year and a half ago at this point, after I got engaged to my fiance, I ended up taking her to Hawaii with us, which was like her like lifelong, always dreamed about going to Hawaii, like the dream vacation. So I got to take her over there for a little over a week, and dude, it's sick. It kind of like allows you to kind of put everything in perspective. Like, all right, like we got to grind, we got to get after it, but also if you aren't helping it out for the people, like, we're or at least I'm not no NFL player that can buy her a house or anything yet, but at least being able to do that fun stuff of taking her on vacation and letting her see the world, which she had freaking 5 kids. She didn't have any time to do anything, so it was a really fun thing. And so dude, whenever you take her to the Czech Republic, you got to let me know. That's awesome.
Dude, I'll be vlogging it for sure. Like, I want to get it on the YouTube channel and everything like that, because that's one thing I want to do, is I'm documenting a lot more. So I just recently got into YouTube back in October. A lot of it was like kind of value, just providing value on YouTube to like get the audience to come in. But a lot of it as well that I'm planning on going forward is like literally having it documented. I might I want to eventually hire like a film assistant kind of guy to kind of document everything as well. and just have more traveling kind of coming into the play. Because my overall goal, like, I don't want to be like Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is awesome to the fact that he built this huge conglomerate of just what is Amazon, right? This corporate giant. I don't see myself being like the corporate CEO type of deal. You know what I mean? I definitely want to put better people in play to run a business that is absolutely killer and provides crazy value. But my whole goal is to get, I want the freedom back as much as everybody does, right? Like you want your time back to then do what it is you want to do, whether that build another business or take your family on a trip or whatever that looks like to you. I just know that ultimate goal for me is like, I wake up and you have just peace of mind. You're like, what do I want to do today?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that's kind of in the works, and definitely, man, when like, you know, taking the family to Hawaii, stuff like that, like, you know, that's stuff that you want to do. But yeah, I'll document it, man. I'll shoot it over.
Dude, definitely. I want to see it. I want to see it when it happens. So who's like one of your biggest role models, or who were your biggest role models growing up?
Yeah, man. I would say I could list off people in like sports, but I would say probably
we could go both sides. I would like to hear the sports one too, because mine was Kobe. Kobe was like my goat. Freaking, I wanted to be Kobe. Everything Kobe was who I wanted to be, just because of the work ethic. You know what I mean? He had. I mean, let's be real. He had hella skills and talent, but he had, you know, half of the talent that these other, you know, all-time greats had, and he's over here working his ass off 24/7. Become one of the greatest of all time. So, go either way. Go business, go sports. I don't care. Yeah,
I would say, and this might be kind of out of left field, man, but I've been a huge, and this might be the Toronto in me, but I've been a huge Drake fan since I was like 2009, long time. Well, obviously because you hear his music here first in the city, so it was coming up, and I loved his music, but it wasn't even that. It was just like the drive and like the hype around this guy, and it was just different. And then you start looking into him, and it's like, oh, well, he's got this sick team, and you know, he's got his tight circle, and they all kind of got their own thing, and they're all specialized in something, and they all kind of came up together. Like, his team is taken care of for life. Like, if you were in Drake's circle from the beginning, and like, you know, he talks about all those guys like Ollie, 40, all these guys, right? They came up together, and just having that team mentality of building something from nothing, like OVO Sound, the record label, all that stuff. That to me, it was much more than just like being a music artist. Like, the guy he's got perspective on like business and like how everything works. Like, he's 100% a billionaire, like whether it's on paper or not. I can guarantee you this guy is. It's just that to me at a young age, like not just the music, but like watching this guy kind of grow was like super inspiring to me. I was like, there's something different about this guy. And then on like the sports side, man, like it just, for me, I was always like a very hard worker. It was very tough to outwork me. So I looked at guys that were, yes, the goal scoring type. I like to score goals and do all, and you know, do the flashy sellies and stuff like that. But I also liked, for a guy that's I'm only 5'10", so I played against guys going into junior that were like 6'3" off skates, and then on skates they're like 6'5", 6'6". So I had to show my presence out there. If it wasn't just speed, it was also throwing the body around. It'd be a physical sport like hockey. So I like to throw hits around. So somebody that I really emulated, who's still big today, is Alexander Ovechkin, a Russian player. So he's a huge guy that can score goals, make the plays, but he also, you know, he's not afraid to throw the body around. He's a tough player, and he's a leader. He's a captain of his team, and he's got a lot of personality. And for like a Russian hockey player coming in and just dominating the Canadian sport, for me, I was like, this guy's cool. Like, you know what I mean? So he was somebody that I like growing up. He had like a lot of like flash and stuff like that. It was hard not to pay attention to. But then there's like, of course, like you got like Sidney Crosby, like the Canadian captain, stuff like guys like that. You always emulate as like, you know, Captain Canada and whatnot. So I tried to always look at people that were leaders. You know, being myself fortunate in being picked by teams that when I would get into an organization, there was no politics. You know what I mean? Like, I actually got, this is one thing I'm proud about, is I actually got picked to be a captain of a team based off of my skills and the respect that I got from my peers, not based off of politics, which a lot of people get into. It's like, hey, if my kid's going to play on this team, he needs to have the letter on his jersey that says he's a captain. He gets this amount of ice time. He plays with these people. Or else I'm taking my kid elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't get any of that. Like, I had to earn my ice time. I had to earn my spot. I had to earn the letter on my jersey to say that I was a captain. and it was just all earned, and it was all
Yeah.
respect. And
Yeah.
I wanted to treat my teammates as if, hey, like, I got a letter on my jersey, but the best leaders know when to follow. So if you have a suggestion that is going to be very beneficial for the team, speak up. I
Yeah.
don't want to be the only voice in the room. I don't want to be the only voice in the team. I need other people to speak up as well, because that's how everybody feels included,
Yeah.
right? So taking on those leadership traits from a lot of people that I looked up to, I think was like the biggest thing for me. You know what I mean? So I think
Yep.
that was kind of it. Yeah.
100%. Well, and I'm a big fan of Drake and Ovechkin because I live right outside of D.C. I'm in
Nice.
Virginia, so we're obviously big Capital fans here.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said I watched a lot other than playoff hockey, but when they were making their cup run, I was in D.C. getting hyped. Everybody's climbing telephone poles and stuff. So, yeah, no, I'm a big fan of number 8. And then, yeah, I would agree, too, with Drake. And the other thing that's underrated about Drake, I was just talking about this with my fiance the other day, is that Drake is like the nicest, most humble, down-to-earth dude, and it just shows you that, like, that positive energy, if you're going to treat people right, it's going to come back. You know what I mean? Like, so many people are trying to, like you're saying, where it's like, I'm going to come on the team, but I need to be captain, I need this, I need that. But it's like, dude, like, that'll work in the short term, maybe, but long term, it's not going to last. And that's why Drake's had this ridiculous run as one of the top artists in the world for years now.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's one thing to get to the top. It's another thing to stay there for that long, right?
Yeah.
Like he's truly incredible that way. Like you said, yeah, man. Like the humility that he has and the way that he kind of carries himself. That it's not typical in what you see. And yeah, the law of reciprocity is huge. It's actually one thing that I try and tell my team is, like, if you put something out into the universe value wise, and you're helping somebody, and especially like sales guys, I try and tell them, like, stop thinking that you're just a salesperson, right? You have value to provide somebody, right?
Yeah.
Think about that when next time you go to sell somebody on something, is like, hey, I have this thing that's going to really help you out, right? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, in turn, you get rewarded, whether that be like the pay or whatever. Like, something comes back to you in an opportunity that down the line that's going to be sparked for you. Like it's that ever going or ever evolving energy that it just constantly evolves over time, which is, like you said, the reciprocity, right? It's super impactful.
Yeah.
Super impactful stuff. Yeah.
100%. So wait, how old are you right now?
I just turned 26 in March.
Killing it, dude. That's so sick. Congratulations. Already running businesses and all that stuff. So I guess now let's kind of shift focus. Obviously talked about growing up, but how's the business going? Obviously you talked a little bit about what the business offers, but can you kind of transition from you were an athlete, childhood, all that fun stuff, now into you moved out of the parents' basement. How'd you do it, and kind of where are you at today?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So first thing is, I actually got an opportunity to work, just coming out of my parents' basement, that era. I got an opportunity to work underneath a pretty high-level entrepreneur.
Okay.
And he runs like a coaching company, and I got to kind of test my skills with him a little bit with, like, in regards to like appointment setting and lead generation. And that was kind of the first little taste of getting like legit clients, right? So what we did is we did like a little bit of a trial run, see how I was able to do, just kind of working inside of his company. And then it kind of became the fact that I was like, okay, let's make this like a client contract type of thing. So ended up signing him as a client and been working with him for the last couple of years. And then that transpired. So of course, like, referrals, and then kind of productizing myself with what I've been doing with his business in regards to like lead gen, sales processes, marketing, all that stuff, into kind of one package and a product that we were able to put and kind of coin it as like in-house client acquisition systems.
Yep.
And do that with other coaches, other agencies that we've seen, and kind of grow that way. So it's been going well, man. I've obviously the rocky road of an entrepreneur has the ups and downs, and we scaled up pretty aggressively end of last year around like the 30K per month mark. And I came back down and kind of back up and getting rid of clients and, doing that whole up and down. And it's been good. So just continue to grow from there. The main thing I've been focusing on this year has just been building a team that's super solid, like just getting people that are better than me in place, and continue to kind of grow that and improve the product and make sure that clients are getting great results. So yeah, it's been good, man. I think just the main focus going forward is making sure that we're continuing to improve on skill sets. We're improving our delivery and making sure that we're never settling, I guess you could say. So
yeah. That's awesome. And so you started with this kind of mentor, entrepreneur on the sales side of the house, correct? You were doing the sales
Uh,
side?
just appointment setting. There was two. So there was one guy that was actually he was an e-commerce entrepreneur and he had programs. So I did appointment setting and sales for him. And
Okay.
then the other one who was more of like a coach that I just mentioned, that was purely just appointment setting. So there's actually two I was working at the
Okay.
same time, which I totally forgot. So yeah,
Yeah.
there was two I was going with. And then I left the e-commerce guy and I just went with the coach because, like I said, that contract came into play.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is going to be a way bigger opportunity. So I'm going to focus more of my time here.
Yeah.
And it's somebody who he was a Canadian guy and kind of did the whole like expat thing as well. Built a good company, and I was like, okay, this is what I could really learn from.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that thing. It's like, okay, like you're basically getting paid to also get kind of like an education while working with this person. So I was like, why would I not work with this person? Like, literally you're getting the keys to the castle of like, hey man, this is how you do this thing, and this is how I built my business, and this is how I market my services and all this stuff. And it's like, why would I not also provide this guy value and build my skills as I go? So that's the way that it's been. And fortunately, we got great results. I think just in March, we ended up doing one of our systems for him, added an extra like 52K in revenue to his business. So just doing some great results for him. So I'm glad that, like I said, that law of reciprocity, like he was able to give me an opportunity to kind of really test out my skills with him.
Yeah.
In turn, we were able to provide him a ton of revenue for his business to continue to grow. So there you go, right?
Yeah, bingo. And when you're saying appointment setting, what do you mean by appointment setting? Like, were you running ads, or were you the one that when they would book a meeting, you would kind of like qualify it and then move it on to the next step of the sales process? What does appointment setting mean in this context?
Yeah, so we do the really the hard type, man. So we do the outbound cold approach type of appointment setting, calls,
Smile and dial?
DMs, texts. Yeah, like the
man.
whole.
Nice.
Yeah, we're the ones that get beat up in the trenches, man. So like, yeah, we're the ones that get told to F off and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I mainly started originally with Instagram. Instagram was the first channel that we started using. And then that expanded into like LinkedIn and then email and then text, SMS, and outbound dialing. So we've kind of got a conglomerate of channels, I guess you could say, and mechanisms that we've really kind of made a name for ourselves with and that have worked.
Yep.
And those were kind of the main ones. But you literally just like going outbound and like setting appointments, be like, hey, like ask a couple questions. Not entirely sure if you'd be open to it, but we actually solve problem, get result. Would you be open to a quick 10-minute chat just to see if it's a fit?
Yep.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Boom.
Yep.
Pre-qualify, get them on a call, take them down the sales process. Bing, bam, boom.
Bingo. And I love what you said about getting paid to learn. I feel like so many people go to college because they're like, oh, I'm going to go to college to learn how to make money. And it's like, or you could just go make money and learn on the job. Like literally get paid to learn, like you're saying. That's my favorite thing to do, is because when I was in college, I took the parents' and teachers' advice to go to school. So I went to school, whatever. And in hindsight, I regret it. I wish I didn't even go to college, but whatever. It was fun. Made a lot of good friends from it. And it was funny. I graduated. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I know I want to eventually be an entrepreneur. I know I want to run my own business. And my dad was like, Chris, you like talking to people and you seem passionate about things that you get into. Why don't you go into sales? And also, if you do become an entrepreneur, that's going to be the most important thing you know how to do, is sell. Like sell yourself, sell your business, sell your services. So, I went into sales, and like you're saying, you just learn on the job. And the funny thing is, most sales jobs is you don't need a degree to get like 99% of the sales jobs that are out there. Mm-hmm. And then you can just get paid to learn. And if your end-all be-all goal is to be an entrepreneur, I think sales is like the easiest way to get your foot in the door, easiest way to build value for whoever you're working for. Because if you bring them in, like you're saying, $50,000 of revenue, like they're gonna bend over backwards to help you out next time you need a favor. So I love to hear the getting paid to learn.
Dude, it's the key, man. It's like, why wouldn't you? Especially if like you can find somebody who's they've done the path that you're looking to do. You know what I mean? Like the coach that I've continued to work with, like his whole thing was just he wanted to get his time back to, he wanted to build a family, right? And, went to move to, a nice little coastal town and like near like a beach and stuff like that. He wants to live that life, but he also provides that for other entrepreneurs. That's literally what his like service is like showing other people how to get their time back in a business as the owner, as the founder, as the CEO, to then do more of what you love. If what you love is working, then it's more time to work on what you want to work on, right? But being able to get paid, and and learn from somebody is probably the best thing that you could do. I advise that like a lot of younger guys coming up to just like don't think so much about like, oh well, I'm worth like 2K a month, and like that's because the course told me that I took to like charge 2K a month, and it's like, dude, just learn the skills. Like you're gonna suck at first, like you're gonna be so bad that you're gonna be charging 2K a month, and people are gonna be pissed off because you can't deliver. So it's like, just go suck and learn, get paid for it, whether it be like hourly or whatever from somebody else that is willing to like take you through it. As long as you're willing to learn, you don't have to be the best, but if you're open to criticism, feedback, you're able to adapt and transition, and you take it upon yourself to go learn other things and bring it back to the team meeting and be like, here's what I learned. We should apply this because I think it's going to get X result. And that's why we should do it. Yeah. The entrepreneur that took you on is going to be like, this kid's unreal. Yeah. Let's give him more, right? And then you're going to keep compounding your skills and skill stack as you go. So, man, it's definitely the best thing you can do. And like you said, sales, everybody needs to learn sales, man. Like, that's you need it.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I feel like sales has, I mean, sort of rightfully so, because most of the time the only time people typically that don't own a business or aren't in procurement buying different products and services, the only time they're dealing directly with a quote unquote salesman is when they're trying to buy a house or buy a car. Is like really the only two times they have them. When they're buying a house, they're like, I'm giving this person thousands of dollars, and they aren't willing to show me a house at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday. It's like, all right, yeah, I get it. Like, you should bend over backwards for your clients, but also, like, do you hear what you're asking? They're not getting paid. They have no base salary. So they're dealing with realtors, and also a lot of realtors, at least here in the States, are not necessarily the most qualified people to be sales reps. It's typically like, stay-at-home parents trying to just not be bored and go show houses. Or they're buying a car and they have some, kid right out of college that's just trying to shove any old, like, upgrade down your throat. So people have like a bad stigma around sales. And it's like, that's not a good sales rep is almost more of a consultant than a person trying to sell you something. Because like you're saying, if you truly believe in what you're selling and you're passionate about what you're selling, it doesn't really feel like you're selling anything. You're legitimately helping out this business owner or this individual with a problem.
Yeah, exactly. No, you have full conviction behind your voice when you tell somebody like, I know what you're going through. This is what's going to solve that. Right, they feel that through the Zoom call that you're on. You know what I mean? And it's a completely different approach. That was the biggest thing that I had to realize. Of course, everybody, when you think of sales, it's like, oh, rah, like shove it down your throat type of sales, like hard close, like always be closing type of deal.
Wolf of Wall Street is what they're picturing.
Exactly, like Jordan Belfort. But like, I mean, I'm sure in some industries, some kind of like straightforward guys, maybe I don't know, like private equity. I don't know. You know what I mean? The guys like that are more like, just show me what you got, let's do it. You know what I mean? And I totally get that. I'm very much a guy that likes to cut the BS and let's just see how we can help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on the other side is like, you might be talking to people that aren't entirely like problem or solution aware as well. You know what I mean? Like you might talk to people depending on your industry, they don't even realize they have a problem, right? Yeah. And you have to get them to realize that, hey, like I've seen what you're doing, you need this, and this is why you need this, and I have full conviction that this will help you. So let's give it a shot. What do you think, right? And then when you come at it from that approach, you are leading the horse to water, and then they got to drink. You know what I mean? Like they have to come to the conclusion in their mind that this is the answer, right? Yep. And I can't get to point B from point A if I don't get on their boat, right? I got to get on that boat with Aiden or Chris in order to get to where I need to go because that's where the answer lies. So it's total like that the consultation type of selling or consultative approach. Definitely what I rely on for sure.
Yeah, love it. All right, now I want to get a little even more nerdy than we're getting because I love sales funnels, all that fun stuff. So right now, like, how are you getting people to your end product, service, business? Mm-hmm. Where are they coming from? Do you have your own team that's doing kind of cold outreach for your business, or are you running ads? How are you finding new customers?
Yeah, it's all organic. We don't do any paid ads at all. So we do a mix between LinkedIn, email, SMS, and outbound dials. So yeah, I have a team, as of right now, a team of 5, and they just do a ton of volume each and every day. I got a couple of VAs as well that will do like personalized email outreach as well that way. And that's kind of our main approach is just all outbound. A lot of it is more so kind of value approach where it's like we have like sales assets and stuff that are obviously they show you exactly what our process will do, kind of like top to bottom of like how it's going to solve their problem and get the result that they're looking for. So yeah, it's basically just a ton of outbound, man, through those few channels. I don't do Instagram anymore, just because my ideal clients aren't really sitting on there anymore. It's more so like LinkedIn and email is the best way to get a hold of them. And then I just told my sales guys like, hey, if you want a quick conversation, the phone is going to be the best thing. I think the phone is heavily underutilized these days for a lot of people in my position, right? I think like most like courses and mentors out there are really just teaching like, yeah, this is how you write a cold email, and yeah, this is how you do like outreach through Loom videos on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And that stuff works. They all work, right? But I think the best skill that you can develop is take the punches from outbound dialing, right? Like it's the best thing that you can do. When I was doing it myself, that was probably the best thing that I went through in order to like transition that into my sales skills, actually closing clients, because I knew how to like talk to people and face the objections and all that stuff, and the fear and everything kind of washes away when I would used to show up on a sales call and I'd be like sweating before I even jumped on a Zoom. I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm speaking to somebody about they're giving me money and all this stuff, like complete like belief busting thing I had to go through, right? But I just kind of chill out and be like, hey man, we're just having a conversation. If you can't help them, you can't help them. If you can help them, then great. You know what I mean? Like completely getting over that. But yeah, man, that's kind of our main approach. We got a bunch of different channels going at once, but it's all outbound organically. Yeah.
Yep. And so do you use, like, obviously I was checking out your all's website. And so, like, do you ever send people to the website to book calls, or since it's mainly, organic, are you normally just able to book the meetings? Your sales guys able to just book the calls right then on the phone? How do they, what is that website kind of used for, I guess? And I'm talking about the HyattIncomeSociety.com is the one that I was looking at.
Yeah, purely just for credibility. Like we don't really send anybody there. Yeah, we just got our case studies there, got our YouTube videos there as well, just to go show like some free value. We got a free value video on there as well, just to show a little bit about our process. Yeah, purely for credibility. We rarely send people to the website. If people do end up on the website, it's because they went primarily from either my LinkedIn or they went from our YouTube organic, because I have a link in the description to go either book a call or go check out our website for our demos. And they can go check it out there. And some people will come through YouTube. I was actually surprised at how many calls we get booked inbound from YouTube just organically.
Really?
And they'll go check out our website and end up booking a call if it seems like a good fit. So I was actually shocked when I started YouTube. So I do a couple videos a week and it'll bring in a couple calls. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah. It's also kind of refreshing to hear, because I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they think that, like you're saying, that like everything's about your VSL, it's about your funnel, it's about running like these ads on these platforms, blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, that's good if your product sucks and you need to get like a bunch of new clients. If you have a good offering, you're just going to get referrals, word of mouth. You're going to be able to get organic clients that are coming to you, finding value in your YouTube channel, like you're saying, or your LinkedIn profile, and then you do good work and they'll refer you to a friend or family member. Like it's kind of that simple. But I feel like a lot of people now are they're so eager to get rich quick that they try and just run ads, and then they're like, yeah, I got $100,000 in revenue. I'm like, all right, well, what's your expenses? Oh, 85. It's like, all right, well, that's like, all right, cool. You made $15K a month. Like, that's great. But I mean, you could get a W-2 job that pays you $15,000 a month. Like, it's not like revolutionary. So I don't know. I think it's refreshing to hear something that's trying to actually deliver the value, deliver the work, and get it through word of mouth, not just living and dying off of some VSLs and some ads.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
Cool. Well, I guess other quick question I have for you is, as far as like building out a strong sales, strong marketing foundation, what would you recommend to new business owner, new person, trying to maybe grow their business? What like tools and positions do you think are a must when building out a well-running lead generation platform?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think there's really like two ways to go about it. You can, number one, leverage trends. So if there's something that's trending right now, I know AI is really big right now. Yeah. You can leverage like the AI kind of trend and really kind of ride that wave for specific businesses that are looking to implement AI. So there's that, right? And it's like, hey, I can get you access to XYZ AI stack or whatever it is that you can do for someone, right? So there's that. And then there's the flip side, which is what we've kind of broken it down to, is like just literally finding the problem, right? Like, what is it that people are going through? Like, I've even recently taken upon myself as of recent to find out a solution for like recruiting and staffing agencies specifically to see where that market's at, right? So what we do is you'll schedule interviews, right, and just get on a quick 10-minute chat in exchange for, referring business their way or access to a free video that we've created that'll be helpful for them to get clients, right? So you want to obviously have that value exchange, but then just start learning about the industry, right? If it's something you take interest in or something that you know that your solution can solve a problem for, I highly recommend just have conversations, right? 5 to 10 people within the same position in the same industry get to know exactly what it is that they're currently going through, right? What's their pains? What's their problems? What is it that they're looking to achieve, right? All that kind of stuff. And then from that, form a solid offer that you can, they're going to feel dumb saying no, right? They're just going to be like, I absolutely have to go in with this guy because it sounds like something he can help me with. And then in regards to like actual like tangible tech stacks that I would require for people to like start getting this business and marketing and sales, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the best thing you're going to use, obviously, right? Biggest tool. There's other like automation tools you can use out there, like there's some of them like Xpandy, there's stuff like that. We use a proprietary one called Ulink. It's by invite only, and really by that one, it's just you can get a ton of outreach with that. But really, again, it's just tailoring good messaging, right? And the first thing you want to do is just introduce yourself, kind of give them a little bit of context as to what it is that you do, and obviously do some research on the person that you're reaching out to. Basically, kind of what you did with me, you know what I mean, to get me here. Same idea, right? Like it's no different. It's like sales, right? You basically sold me getting on here today. It's no different than when somebody else going to sell their service. It's like, hey, I found out that you're doing X, Y, Z. Would you want to hop on a chat and explain how, or talk about how we might be able to solve a problem, get result, right? So starting there. LinkedIn Sales Nav, a couple other tech stacks you can use just to get some outreach is, a lot of people use like Go High Level, typical kind of CRM is one that you can use for like a ton of like email outreach or outbound calling, SMS. There's one that you could use there. And really, man, just get the word out. That's the first thing you can do. And we also advise people for our clients as well, is try and get like people on commission to come in and really work the tail off for you. So we have a way of like teaching people how to hire commission-only sales teams, right? To come in and let them do the work and, pay them handsomely well, make sure that, they're working for a good incentive and continue to do that, man. And just, get the word out. It's really bare bones. It's boring at the end of the day, right? It's just like, do the boring work, right? Just have an offer, talk to somebody. What do they need? Offer that to like hundreds of people in their position and get on a call with them. Here's what we can do. Deliver the service, get them great results, repeat the process. Founder, remove yourself from the business. Get yourself to a point of just really making decisions and having conversations with your team and providing value. That's it.
100%. It is funny how so many people they want, the yacht life, the vacations, the cool cars, the houses. It's like, well, yeah, what do you think it takes to get there? Like, unless you inherit it, which some people do, unless you inherit it, you got to do the boring stuff. You got to do the hard work and rolling up your sleeves and getting it done. But cool. I appreciate you coming on. We're already at an hour, which is crazy. I had like a million more questions, sales nerding out that we won't even get to. But I guess where can people find you? Where, you have anything cool, exciting coming out that you want to shout out?
Yeah, finding me is pretty simple. You can just at Aiden J.D. Reilly on Instagram, Twitter. I'm just getting into Twitter recently, so kind of trying to leverage that a little bit. Same thing on LinkedIn, Aiden J.D. Reilly. Same thing on YouTube, Aiden J.D. Reilly. So that's where you can find me. Anything new right now is mainly just improving on the product. So basically helping you build out a in-house sales team on commission, continue to automate more processes, add in actually some AI as well to help you even get more leverage into your business. So we're working on a lot of things right now, and the main thing is just plugging a lot of different holes inside of people's businesses, right? So just finding the problem, adding the solution, find the problem, add the solution. So for anybody who is interested in having a chat, feel free to reach out.
Cool. Awesome. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was fun.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks so much for your time, man. I really loved it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Chris's Secret Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. It would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel at Chris's Secret Podcast or follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify at Chris's Secret Podcast once again, or follow me on Instagram. It's just at Chris Arslan. And remember, if you want to get involved with the show, reach out to us and ask us a question, and you might be featured here on the show during what is my favorite part of the show, the mailbag. So if you want to get involved, it's very easy to ask me a question. Just slide into my DMs on Instagram. Once again, that is at Chris Arslan, or leave us a comment on YouTube on our latest YouTube video, or leave us a review on Apple Podcast and ask us a question in the review. Remember, 5 stars only, please. And until next time, figure out some ways to make some passive income so I can see you out on the slopes or on the pickleball courts. So until next time, peace.